People often say men who are horny, men who are into too much of sex are perverted. But in reality, I am telling you, these men are not perverted. Actually, the men who are out of sex, men who have not got enough of sex, are actually the perverted men. I'm telling you, boys, if you find out any man acting pervertly, immediately know that this man does not have enough sex. He has not been with women. He has not experienced sex enough yet. Because the man who has been with women, who has have had uh, enough of sex, will never act pervertly, will never show neediness, will never be hungry for it, will never, go after people and keep on disturbing them, because it is something which he has experienced. It is something which is easily accessible to him. And when things get accessible to somebody easily, he's not hungry for those things then. He's not going to go and disturb others for those things. Why? Because he can easily access those things, and he has also experienced those things enough that he now knows that it does not worth to go and disturb other for that thing. I'm telling you, boys, this man will be more controlled, this man will be more in his senses, and this man will act more sensibly with opposite sex. He will never act cheaply, he will never do anything vulgar with opposite sex, because it is something he has experienced, it is something which is very easily accessible to him. The men who has not have enough sex, men who do not have access to sex, are actually the perverted men. These are the men who go and create unnecessary issues in society for their hunger of sex, because they have not got enough of it, and because they do not have easy access to it. So perverted men are not men who has easy access to sex. Perverted men are men who does not have easy access to sex, and this is something women know. This is why they always prefer a man who has been with women. This is why they always go and involve themselves with men who has been with women, because they know this man has had sex. This man is not going to do anything cheap or vulgar with her for sex, because he has experienced sex, he is experiencing sex maybe with someone. So it is very safe to be with this man. This man will not cling on to me for sex. This man will not create any sort of trouble in my life for his need of sex, and this man will not create unnecessary issues because of his biological need of sex. And this is the reason women do not involve themselves with men who has been single. They go and involve themselves, they prefer to involve themselves with men who have been with women who they think, or who seem to them that this man has been with women, this man has have had sex. So even if I'll go and have sex with this man, he will still be in control, he will still be within his boundaries, and he will still not act cheaply, and he will also not do any vulgarity with me because of sex, and he will not create any sort of troubles and issues with me because of sex. So what should I say? Well, all the boys who have not had sex, there are people who talk about celibacy and all. See, this is all bullshit. In my eyes, we all cannot be saint, we all cannot have control over our urges. I would suggest you that you better go out and find sexual possibilities for yourself, in which you do not disturb others, in which you do not create any sort of troubles and problems to others. Find ways to experience sex, to know what's actually in it. And when you will experience sex, when you will give sex to yourself, when you will find ways to gain easy access to it, you will not be hungry for it, you will not be perverted for it, you will not be acting foolishly for it, and you will not be creating any sort of troubles and issues to anybody because of your need of sex. So you may find people who will come and suggest you to have control over your urges and to celibate and to become a saint, but my advice is totally opposite to it. I mean, if you are somebody who can have good control over yourself and follow celibacy, then it is good. I'm also not kind of provoking you to go and have sex, but in my eyes, sex is not something which, we do explicitly. After, I think, water, air, after our need of water and air, I think this is another biological need of human body which is there in us naturally, evolutionary, originally. We do not generate it in us. And then when people say have control over it, I do not see any logic in it, because it is something which is not generated by me. It is generated by this God, by this nature. And how can we have control over something which is generated by this nature, which is generated by this so-called God? And this is why we have so many so-called saints and gurus and babas who act like somebody else in public, but whenever they go in private, in their personal time, off camera, off public, they go and involve themselves into sexual activities. And whenever their public time, I mean whenever their personal time, whenever all these things come out in public gets enraged and becomes angry about this man. But they forget that no matter which role this man is playing in a society, he is a human first, and we humans have biological needs. I mean, can a man do without water? Can a man do without food? Can a man do without air? And if yes, then how long? How long can you do without water? How long can you do without air and food? And I am telling you, sex is in similar category. It is pure biological and natural need which is generated by this nature, not by you. So if somebody is telling you that that go and have control over it and suppress it, well, I don't see any logic in it. If you can do it, then it's very good, do it. But as per as my understanding is concerned, I would suggest you go out and find opportunities for yourself where you can go and experience sex, where you can go and find out what's actually in there. So it will do two things. First, it will assuage your hunger of sex. Second, it will end the curiosity which is there in your brain regarding sex. See, suppose you have heard about say some sweet, you have heard about it only, you have not tasted it, then you will stay curious about it. But once you go and get this opportunity to taste it, actually what it will do, it will end the curiosity, and with curiosity your over excitement about it will also, so it will happen in the case of sex also. Go out, find opportunity, have sex, do it, and whatever curiosity and mystery you have built in your brain around it, it will go. It will end that too much of excitement also which you have built around it in your brain. It will also assuage your hunger, and it will end all the issues and problems which you have in your brain around sex. I am telling you, you will stop going after women, you will stop pedestalizing women, you will go and stop flirting with women, and you will go and stop disturbing women, creating any sort of troubles and issues in women, just because now you know what sex is, now you know how sex feels, and now you also have ways to go and have sex. So it is going to help you gain good control over your sexual urge, because sex is not a big deal for you now, and you can go and act very sensibly with opposite gender, and at least for sex you will not go and trouble them anymore. Why? Because now all the mystery and curiosity and the emptiness that is there in you, just because you are unable to fulfill another biological need of yours, will be gone, will be settled forever. So my advice is go out, find ways and opportunities where you can find sex for yourself, and once you will begin having sex, and once you will begin experiencing sex, all the pervertness that is there in you because of sex will go, and you will become a gentleman. You will automatically start acting sensibly, and you will start acting sensibly with women, and you will begin being in your limits and within your boundaries whenever you are there dealing with women.